Hello everyone, this is part 19 of What If Naruto Got His Wish, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. NE, Neji-san, asked a cheerful Sakura, "Where are we going to camp tonight?" It was a suitable question that the pink-haired medical ninja asked. The group was traveling through a mountainous region with almost no vegetation. Though the path that they followed was good, wide, and solid, it was bordered by a high cliff face on one side and by a sheer 100-meter drop on the other. The view from where they were was incredible. The rice fields in the valleys below were astoundingly beautiful in the late afternoon sunlight, but camping here would not be wise, as any enemy that might be lurking nearby would have an equally incredible view of their exposed and vulnerable selves. Neji himself was curious as to how this would end up. Their current location was on the southern borders of the rice field country, where the hidden village of Sound was supposed to be situated. Sasuke had told him that they would merely continue south along this border and not enter the country itself, but if there was no concealed locale in which to make camp for the night, then the team could easily be ambushed. There was every reason in the world to suspect a trap. "Well, Uchiha," he asked, "where is it that you say we will spend the night?" Sasuke's upper body was still tightly bound, and multiple heavy weights had been attached to his legs to prevent him from running anywhere fast. He regarded Neji with the arrogant and haughty glare that the Hyuga Junin had come to despise. "HMMPH," he said, "if you had done your homework, Hyuga, you wouldn't have to ask me that. Or was the map you were reading drawn by Naruto?" "I heard that," came a loud voice from below. Naruto had decided to train himself as he traveled by walking along the cliff face rather than on the path. He was not visible to the rest of the group, but his occasional yelling comments on the conversation above were solid proof that he was still alive and clinging to the vertical surface successfully with chakra at his feet. Hinata had joined him in this little exercise, though she did not comment much. Neji knew that she was probably too busy making sure that both she and the blonde bombshell didn't splatter on the rocky ground below. The sepia-haired Hyuga genius was not happy with Sasuke's response, either. Fighting to prevent himself from doing something very un-Hyuga-like, he fixed the traitor with as calm a glare as he could manage. Choosing his argument carefully, he sought to get around the cloud of arrogance. "There could be any number of apparent safe areas to rest," he said, "but not all of them are certain to be truly safe. There could be traps that not even the Byakugan can detect, and the probability of an ambush in each of these areas is varied. Which of the areas do you know to be free of traps and an unlikely ambush site?" "How do you know I won't purposefully lead you into an ambush, Hyuga?" asked Sasuke, smirking. Neji hated this game. The traitor didn't spare any opportunity to remind him that this all might very well be a trick. The Hyuga genius knew that it was a ploy to make him confused and shake his resolve, throw him into mental turmoil and uncertainty. He wasn't going to fall for it. The Godime Hokage had made the gamble for him. He would play Tsunade's hand to whatever end. "Break his arm, Sakura," called Naruto. Then some pebbles could be heard breaking off the cliff as he exclaimed, "Whoa. Almost lost it there." "Naruto-kun," came the voice of Hinata, "maybe we should take a break. If you're tired, you don't have to take such a risk." "Give him some lip service, Hinata," called Kiba teasingly. Akamaru barked in amused agreement. That had Haruka laughing and crowing, "Ha. That'll re-energize him." More pebbles could be heard falling before Naruto said, "Whoa. You'd better watch your own grip, too, Hinata. Maybe you ought to take a break." "Where?" Neji's voice phrased a command more than a question. Sasuke seemed to be satisfied with the trouble he'd already caused and said, "There is a bridge leading over a waterfall in the mountains less than 5 kilometers from here. It deviates from our path a little, but there is a neutral village 2 kilometers past the other side. Is that safe enough for you?" Neji nodded, saying, "Assuming you aren't lying, then yes, it is." Naruto suddenly popped over the side of the cliff, a thin film of sweat glistening on his face. Hinata followed behind him, clearly relieved to be on horizontal ground after walking on vertical for so long. "He's not lying," Naruto said. "I visited this village once while I was on my training journey. It was destroyed a few decades ago, so they took it off the map, but it got rebuilt not too long ago. Nobody's gotten around to remapping it yet. Sakura looked at him, puzzled. You went this close to Orochimaru's territory on your trip. Isn't that kind of like saying, please, come me? Naruto's head lowered to his chest and he stuck his hands in his pockets. Memories came back to him. He could remember a confrontation with some sound nin near here, the aftermath of which had nearly cost the neglectful Ero-senin his life, and remember dragging the same Sannin to the hospital in this village. Not really, he said. I came out of it okay. Though a certain toad summoner wasn't as lucky. Keisuke was with you then, too, said Haruka, wasn't he? Her silver eyes stared off into the direction of the village. Naruto could remember. Keisuke had indeed been there with them. He also thought he understood what provoked this change of subject in his surrogate big sister. This village was where she and Keisuke had first encountered each other. It wasn't good to be remembering that now, however. Haruka tended to get distant and quiet when such reminiscing about the blind man started. His name had become almost as much of a taboo to her as Sasuke's had been to him until recently. In this state, she was not or playful or intense. This might have been less annoying, but Naruto found that it made him think about his own problems, which made everyone worry even more, which reduced overall team morale. It was time to change the subject. Hinata, he said, hating to resort to this but having no choice, when we get to the village, do you want to walk around with me? You know, without everyone else. Naruto got the intended reaction. Hinata went pink-faced, Sakura took on a look of pleased surprise, and Kiba's and, as hoped for, Haruka's faces lit up with smirks. Though he hadn't actually been planning on asking Hinata out for a walk, it was an opportunity to get Haruka back into her more cheerful attitude. Already, he could hear gears in her head turning over what silent and role she might play on this outing that Naruto had suggested. Walk around, he says, said Kiba. Of course, we all know he's got something else on his mind. Possibly something very risque, said Haruka. Something entertaining. All of this was according to plan, and Naruto was satisfied with the return. However, he was totally unprepared for what came next. His invitation to the girl prompted an unforeseen reaction. Naruto, said Neji, his white eyes regarding the blonde with a piercing, searching gaze, what is it exactly that you planned on doing while out walking with Hinata-sama? Naruto stared at him, dumbfounded. Oh, great, he thought. Who knew that Neji would play the role of overprotective sibling? The sun was on its way down from the sky when the company reached the bridge. Sasuke had indeed been correct, both in gagging the distance they would have to travel to reach it and in the fact that it led over a waterfall. What he hadn't said, though, was that in the pink and orange light of the sunset the waterfall was one of the most glorious sights that could be seen in the land. Amazing, Naruto remarked, gazing out over it. I didn't come into the village this way last time around, so I never had this experience. It's really amazing. Hinata nodded and smiled prettily at it, causing Naruto to momentarily stare at her, trying to figure out which was prettier. Kiba gave an approving whistle and Akamaru barked while wagging his tail happily. Apparently the dog did share some human sense of beauty. Yeah, I missed it, too, Haruka admitted as they started across the bridge. There are things in nature you don't see everywhere, and I'm not talking about reproductive behaviors. Shino, immune to the humor of such comments, merely gave a slight nod. He did spend an irregular, for him, time staring out at the inhumanely pretty sight. Neji and Sasuke did not seem to notice. They had been busy trying to outdo each other for the last half hour. At first it had been a glaring contest, which had turned into an ignoring contest, which evolved into what Naruto called an out-angsting campaign, where each one bellyached about being stuck with the other. It was currently an odd version of tug of war. Neji had attached a length of rope to his captive and was using it to drag him along, but Sasuke was making an effort to make it as difficult as possible without looking like he cared, which he was very good at. As they reached the end of the long bridge, however, Sakura's only comment was, Neji-san, could we stop for a moment? I need a bathroom break. Hey, good idea, Naruto said. I kinda need one, too. Neji switched his focus away from hauling the Uchiha traitor as painfully as possible without looking like he cared, at which he was proving quite adept, to Sakura, and then to the surrounding area. There were many rocks and the waterfall, but few places where one could do his or her business in private. He looked at Sakura. Where can you go? He asked. It doesn't seem as though there is a suitable area. Sakura pointed off to the side of the bridge. The rocks crumble away into a depression there, she said. There's a small cave. I saw it from the bridge. Neji had seen it, too, and said, it is also very wet down there. If you misstep, you could fall to your death from the slippery rocks, and you won't easily adhere to the wall with your chakra. Well, Sakura suggested, smiling cheerfully, I could take someone with me, if it will make you more comfortable, Neji-san. Neji considered. It sounded all right. Why, then, did he have a bad feeling about this? I suppose that would be adequate, he said, shrugging off his fears. Sakura nodded at him. Come on, Hinata, she said. You wouldn't let me fall, even jokingly. Hey, I'm not that Haruka said. At least not to most people, she added under her breath. So it was that Hinata followed after Sakura towards the cavern below. Both of them strolled up to the edge of the incline as though nothing was wrong, climbing cautiously as they would on any mission, completely trusting each other to catch her if she fell. Oi, Neji, Naruto said, is there another place I can go, or am I waiting? You could try that cliff-hanging stunt again, suggested Haruka, and aim for a tree. I won't push you, since you have a date to get to later tonight. Looking at her evil smile, Naruto fought the urge to grimace. Already he was having misgivings about curing her. He slowly began to back towards the cliff's edge, not wanting to be near her at that particular moment. He laughed nervously. Thanks, Haruka-ne-chan. I think. He turned around and prepared to take to the cliff face, hoping there would be nobody watching from below. Wait, Naruto, came the quiet voice of Shino. I will accompany you. Sakura was right to bring a companion in case of danger. Someone should offer the same to you. This is just getting more and more stupid, Naruto thought. Ne-chan is on her embarrassment crusade again, Neji is trying too hard to protect Hinata from me, and now I suddenly need Shino to watch me while I take a leak. That's really how I wanted to spend my evening. HMMPH. Come on, then, he said. He was dismayed when Shino followed him. What the hell? He said. Shino, it's perfectly flat in here. I don't need your help anymore. Shino's eyebrows narrowed. Naruto sighed. What the heck was it now? I offered to watch over you in case you fell, he said. Can you not return the favor and allow me to share the safety of this place? That is proper conduct between friends, and especially teammates. Gar, have it your way, Naruto said, exasperated. Resigned to his fate, he turned away from Shino, preparing to do his business in what little privacy he had left. And also, what is it now, Shino? The heavily veiled bug user was looking around the place. It appeared that something was not right to him. This cavern is strange, he said. It appears to have been formed in the natural way, by water erosion. There are natural stelaces and stalagmites within it, and the interior is moist and cool. So what's the problem? Naruto asked, eyes focused entirely upon his work. There are suspicious elements within it. The surfaces of the rock formations are not entirely smooth, as the results of natural erosion should be. There is no water at all flowing through the cavern now, though it is in very close proximity to a large waterfall, which presumably created the cavern itself. Naruto finished his business and zipped up. When he turned to face Shino, comprehension was showing in his blue eyes. So, you're saying that this cave might have been man-made? That is exactly what I was going to suggest. And if it were made by people, why would they go to the trouble to make it look natural? Definitely not for tourists, Naruto said. It's definitely not safe just leaving it open to a cliff like that. Agreed, said Shino, which makes it likely that it was constructed by shinobi, possibly enemy shinobi. That's not good, Naruto said. What if the cave that Sakura and Hinata went into was the same kind of cave? I think, said Shino, that this may be the same cave. If they are shinobi, then they can launch an ambush from the waterfall and escape out this way, down the cliff. Naruto's eyes widened. So it was made as a trap. But was it a trap for us, or somebody else? We cannot know, said Shino. But I suggest that we explore this cavern further before we return to the others. It could lead nowhere, of course. But it might lead to Hinata and Sakura, Naruto finished. Let's go. Hinata was getting a little confused. She and Sakura had gone quite far into the cave. They had passed a number of twists and turns, and the entrance was no longer anywhere in sight. Yet Sakura had yet to stop walking. "Anno, Sakura-chan?" she asked. "What is it, Hinata-chan?" Sakura's face showed cheerfulness as well as wonder at Hinata's question. There was nothing malicious on her mien or in her movements, but something just didn't feel right to the Hyuga girl. "Haven't we gone a bit far into the cave?" Hinata asked her. "I'm sure nobody could see us down here." "Nobody normal, that's for sure," Sakura agreed. "But you need to remember that Naruto spent 3 years with Jiraiya-sama, who is well known for having loose morals. For all we know, he might have followed us down here." Now that, Hinata would have said, was a silly idea. Naruto was not his sensei, he could resist his own impulses. That, or Neji and the others would stop him, though Hinata would like to think that it wouldn't have come to that. This is what Hinata would have said, in a nutshell. But when the immense jaw-like leaves of the trap below burst out from the rock below and snapped shut, trapping her from the waist down, all that Hinata could say was, "What?" "Thank you for bringing Hyuga-san to us, Sakura-san," came a calm and cool voice from behind her. "You have served me well." Craning her neck, Hinata caught sight of a figure in a heavy, dark cloak and hood. From beneath the cloak, creeping along the ground from the base of the figure's feet, were the roots of the gigantic trap plant which now held her captive. "Thank you, Mistress Ayaka," came the voice of Sakura. Hinata whipped her head around. Her friend was kneeling on the rock floor in subservience. "Sakura-chan," she said, "what is going on?" Sakura looked up. There was sadness in her eyes. "I'm sorry, Hinata-chan, I really am. But I can't go against my mistress, and she ordered me to separate you from the others. Believe me, I would never have done it if mistress hadn't willed it." Hinata's Byakugan snapped on. She looked at and through Sakura, thinking that it might be a disguise. "I assure you, your friend is herself, Hyuga-san," said the cloaked ninja, Ayaka. "There is no trick. She is Haruno Sakura exactly as you know her. The only difference is that she cannot disobey my commands. My puppeteer plant dominates her will." "Puppeteer plant?" Hinata asked. She scanned the person before her, which was indeed her friend, Sakura, searching for it. "Yes," said Ayaka. "It is a parasite that attaches itself to the central nervous system, which allows it to subtly govern its host's will. Normally, the influence is small, as the plant will only direct its host to find nourishment for it periodically. But my plants obey me and me only. I command the puppeteer plant, which in turn commands the host to do my bidding." The central nervous system, Hinata thought. She directed her superior sight towards Sakura's spinal column and brain. Sure enough, halfway up the girl's back, there was a plant resembling a patch of moss rooted there. There were small tendrils entwined with the nerve tissue leading up to the brain. "What will you do with me?" asked Hinata. My comrades and I, will take you back to our village," Ayaka explained. "Our leaders have greatly desired the capture of a Hyuga for many years. It is hoped that the secrets of your bloodline limit Dujutsu will be revealed." "For many years," Hinata repeated quietly. Her face fell in realization. Kumogakure no Sato, the village hidden in the clouds. The enemy, Ayaka, did not appear to hear her. Instead, she began running vines out from beneath her cloak, which wrapped about Hinata's upper body, binding her tightly. Then, with a quick seal, she dispelled the summoned trap plant. Sakura rose to her feet, helping Hinata up after she had fallen to the floor. "I'm really sorry," she said. "If I could, I would bring you back to Naruto and the others right away." "You don't have to worry about that, Sakura," echoed a loud voice from deep within the cave. "I'm here to do it for you." Hinata's eyes brightened in recognition. "Naruto-kun." "Naruto," said Sakura. She was confused. She knew she should feel happy, but what if Mistress Ayaka ordered her to attack her teammate? She wouldn't be able to resist the order, and then she might hurt one of her friends. Ayaka's emerald eyes narrowed from beneath the concealment of her hood. This would never do. The obstacle would have to be disposed of immediately. Working a set of seals, she focused her chakra into some of the many seeds that she carried in a pouch at her waist. Naruto appeared from around a bend in the cave, running full speed towards them. From the base of his spine, 9 thick appendages made up of blazing blue chakra sprouted like tails. Hinata and Sakura recognized it as the Tomoshibi no Kyubi, 9 Tails of Light, one of Naruto's Rokujuyon Ryu Jutsus. They lit the cave around the blonde ninja as he came barreling straight at them. Ayaka was more than prepared for a head-on attack. The seeds which she empowered sprouted, rooting in the soil stored in her cloak and grew rapidly, forming into beautiful flowers with dark red petals. Hinata cried out in horror as the needles whizzed over the heads and to the sides of her and Sakura, striking Naruto in numerous places and sticking painfully in his skin. Ayaka stepped forward, moving past her unwilling servant and captive to examine her victim. "Those needles are filled with a deadly L," she said, voice as cool as ice. "A single one can kill in as little as 30 seconds. You were hit by approximately 14 of them. You should be S within seconds. It is regrettable, but I cannot allow you to live, knowing what has transpired. Our village does not desire to enter the war yet, and would be forced to prematurely if the Leaf knew that we had stolen a member of one of their precious Kekai Genkai clans." Naruto was indeed breathing heavily, and his eyelids were having trouble staying open. But he still managed to look up at his K with a goofy smile on his face. "No, I'm the one who's sorry for you," he said. Before anyone could ask him what he meant, he vanished in a puff of smoke. Ayaka, though she remained as collected as ever, remained staring at the spot where he had been. "Kage Bunshin?" she asked the empty air. Behind her, Hinata sighed in relief. Then, the ground below burst open for a second time as another Naruto came up through it, flinging a kunai at Ayaka's back. The cloaked Kanoiki whipped around, knocking the speeding knife aside with the whip of a concealed vine. Simultaneously, she also brought her hands together in a quick seal, concentrating her chakra to command the deadly flowers to fire again. But the plants did not launch more needles. Using the light of Naruto's tails, her emerald eyes could see that they were not disobeying her, they were besieged. A swarm of insects had gone to work on them the moment Naruto had erupted from the ground. They ate away at the plants until they crumpled to the floor of the cavern, totally useless. "Kikai bugs," Ayaka said, recognizing them. "The insects used by the Aberrane clan. So you did not come alone." "No," said Shino, climbing out of Naruto's hole, "he did not. We heard almost everything," Naruto said, "about your plan. I'm telling you, you'd better back off right now. Hinata isn't going anywhere except with us." Ayaka's brilliant green eyes flashed. "I disagree. Sakura, take Hyuga-san and follow me." "Hi, Mistress Ayaka," said Sakura, moving instantly to obey. The two of them dashed off with Hinata back down the way Naruto and Shino had come. "What the?" Naruto started, but Shino stopped him. "Sakura is being controlled by the enemy," he said. "My bugs were hearing her before you. We must follow them quickly." Amazed, but nevertheless concerned over his friends, Naruto hastily agreed and started after the enemy with Shino at his side. The bugs left their meal and followed along as well. The enemy was quick, but Naruto and Shino did not have heavy soil-laden cloaks or struggling prisoners to slow them, and quickly caught up. They were only meters away when Sakura passed Hinata off to Ayaka, who lashed the prisoner to her back. Turning around and pulling a glove on her right hand, Sakura made a fist. Naruto knew what was going to happen next, and cried out. "Shino, jump! Kage Bunshin no Jutsu!" "Naruto!" Sakura yelled, "Stop, or I'm going to have to kill you." The M said so. "I can't stop." Naruto yelled back. "Hinata's in trouble. Don't make me hurt you, Sakura." "Shino, what are you doing?" Naruto cried, watching. "You're not going to hurt her, are you?" "No," Shino said. "Watch." And sure enough, only seconds later, the bugs found the puppeteer plant. With the haste of the hungry swarm, they laid waste to it, and then Sakura stopped struggling against the bugs. Instead, she herself reached down her back, pulling out the moss-like monstrosity. "Yeech," she said, tossing it to the ground and grinding it under her foot. "That's a nasty trick. I can't believe I let her put that on me. Mistress, my ass." "Sakura," Naruto said, face bright with relief. "You're yourself again." Sakura was indeed herself, and she was pissed. "Naruto, Shino-san, we're going to find this Ayaka and kick her ass. Do not forget," said Shino, "to rescue Hinata before you do that." "Got it covered, Shino," said Naruto. "Let's get going." They took off running down the tunnel-like cave again, sprinting with all speed to make up for the time they had lost freeing Sakura. A long series of twists and turns yielded nothing. After less than a minute, however, they caught sight of a cloak flapping in motion-made wind. They were catching up. Increasing his speed, Naruto pulled ahead of the other two, all tails blazing, and raced to get to Hinata's kidnapper. Naruto-kun, cried the bound Hinata as she caught sight of him. This warned Ayaka, who promptly pulled out more seeds and, working her seals, brought him to instantaneous life. A thick barrier of some woody plant sprung into being, blocking the cavern with interlocking shoots. That's not good enough, Naruto roared. Bringing up one hand, he started swirling chakra rapidly in his palm. In less than a second, it took the form of compact spiraling sphere of deadly chakra. This sphere he held out before him as he plunged into the barrier. Rasengan. The sphere's incredible power blew the shoots to pieces, clearing the path. Increasing his speed even more, Naruto blew through the destroyed barrier like a bullet, gaining on Ayaka and Hinata with every passing moment, though by now he had left Sakura and Shino behind. Ayaka, hearing the noise of her barrier breaking, did not stop. She pulled out yet another set of seeds, rooting them into her cloak, and growing them with the same incredible speed as before, all while still running. The dark red needle flowers took shape once again, aiming death at their mistress blonde pursuer. Naruto, having seen this maneuver once already, knew what to do. Calling on his training, he formed a series of quick and precise hand seals, bringing the chakra out into the air around him, influencing its movements. Futen, Kamasori Kabe no Jutsu. You are persistent, said the plant user from ahead of him, still running with all the speed she could muster. I will give you credit for that. However, the chase is at its end now. When she had finished speaking, Naruto saw that she was right. The tunnel exit loomed in front of them, the bright light of the sun visible through it. One way or the other, the end was very near. Yeah, it's gonna end, he said, and I'm gonna win. Hang on, Hinata. Naruto-kun. Suddenly, Hinata surpassed Ayaka's expectations. Little had anyone known, the girl had been exercising her precise chakra control to slowly saw away at her bonds. One vine parted, loosening the others, which led to another being parted, and so on, until the girl came completely untied and rolled off of Ayaka's back onto the ground. Thank you, Naruto-kun, she said, rising to the ground to stand before him, but I would rather not hang on to her any longer. Naruto smiled. Thatta girl. Way to go, Hinata. Then the smile was wiped off of his face as a flash of light filled the cavern. When it faded, Naruto was lying on the ground 5 feet from where he'd been standing, his lip be. Where he had been standing now stood another young man, dressed in all white. What are you smiling at, punk? Asked the newcomer. I don't see what's so great about the Hyuga filth. Naruto picked himself up off the ground, glaring at him. He was mad as hell, first the plant user woman and now this obnoxious brat. Who was he, calling him a punk and Hinata filth? Who the hell are you? He asked. Yeah, like you really deserve to know my real name, said the white-clad shinobi. Do you know what an honor you've been given to even see me, the rising star of the village hidden in the clouds, master of the 5 lightnings, the shinobi who hides in light? It's like you can't even fathom how lucky you are even to be alive. You're right, Naruto said. But I can definitely understand, just from looking at you, that you're even more of an overconfident and obnoxious prick than I am. The arrogance in the newcomer's face turned to rage. His pale skin became red with anger, and it seemed to make his straw-colored hair turn orange. What did you say? You wanna try and prove something, you bastard? Hikaru, said Ayaka, if you are quite done babbling, would you please recapture the Hyuga so that we may escape? No way, Hikaru said. Not until I kill this bastard. He insulted the wrong super ninja. Try it, Naruto said, reaching towards Hinata with the arms of his Ryude. Hinata and I will beat you to a pulp in no time at all. The synchronization jutsu took effect, and Hinata felt power rush into her, emboldening her. Byakugan burning with white intensity, she brushed tangled blue hair out of her face and sank into her Yuokan stance, ready to fight. You will not hurt Naruto-kun, she said, and I won't be taken against my will. That's right, yelled Sakura. We'll fight to the death to keep her out of your hands. We're her friends, you jerks, and no damned plant is going to change that. She and Shino took up positions behind Naruto and Hinata. Sakura reached into her weapon pouch, and Shino raised his arms, bringing forth his deadly bugs. Hey, Hikaru said, you guys don't have a chance. I've grown 10 times stronger since the exam. I'll rip you appa. Hikaru, snapped Ayaka, stop. We're retreating. The boy's mouth fell open in disbelief. But, Ayaka-chan, they're right in front of us, totally in our power. The sun is setting, Hikaru, she said. You will soon have no light in which to hide, and your ability is much diminished without that power. As for myself, the Aberrame's insects have shown an incredible ability to counter my own powers. Against him alone, I might win, but against him and all these, I will not be effective enough. We will retreat. The straw-haired youth seemed torn for a moment, then growled in defeat. Fine, he said, but you bastards haven't seen the last of us. Everywhere you go, we'll be dogging your steps, just waiting for you to make a wrong move. And when you make that move, the Hyuga-bi is ours. Remember that. On his last words, the two enemy shinobi leaped out of the cave entrance. Oi! Naruto yelled, get back here, you cowards. Shino stepped forwards, sending his bugs after them in an attempt to intercept. If he could capture one or both of them. Other than her emerald eyes, her features included a slender jaw, a small, unsmiling mouth, and sleek, oak-colored hair that fell to her shoulders. The face betrayed no emotion at all as it stared up at the bug user. Your power is impressive, Aberrame, she said. I hope one day to fight you on a more level playing field. Working her hand seals for a final time, she grew a set of enormous leaves. Lashing them together and tying herself to them with her vines, she created an organic parachute. On these leafy wings, she glided away into the waning sunlight as her teammate ran speedily down the cliff face, finally leaping into a nearby tree and disappearing into the twilight. The last slivers of the sun finally disappeared beyond the horizon, plunging the mountains into twilight. A few glittering stars began to make themselves seen above the icy caps of the tallest ones, just out of reach of the dimming pink, red, and orange auras that followed behind the retreating star of day. Viewed from the high vantage of the cliff, it was typical of the sunset in this region, but to outsiders such as those that emerged from the shinobi-made cavern, it was as much a sight for sore eyes as the waterfall had been. Or rather, it would have been if any of them had been paying attention to it. Tell me exactly what happened, said Neji, observing the roughed-up state of the four that came together. What happened was that our mission just got about twice as complicated, Naruto growled. He was clearly not happy that the enemy had escaped. The blonde could practically hear Kyubi laughing already. Seeming to sense the self-conflict coming on, Hinata stepped near to him and put her hand on the back of his arm, trying to soothe him as she spoke her part. I was attacked, Neji-ni-san, she said. Whether Naruto was simply glad that someone else had taken up the burden of explaining or there was simply some kind of magic in Hinata's touch, the boy seemed to calm down inside himself. He gave a nod and a grunt to accompany her words. Haruka, meanwhile, made a rather guttural, disappointed noise. Damn, I missed a fight. Should have gone ahead with the plan after all. Neji frowned at her remark, not wanting to ask what it was she had been planning to do to four vulnerable teenagers in a cave, but did not choose to reprimand her. You, specifically, Hinata-sama. Or was it all of you collectively? No, I was their target. Sakura-chan was part of the attacking force. No, not willingly, Neji-ni-san. She clarified, seeing his raised eyebrow. She was being controlled by the enemy. She never would have done such a thing on her own will. That's right, said Sakura, incensed at the memory of the emotionless mistress. In a grumbling undertone, she added, and she's going to pay for that, later. Go on, Neji said, choosing not to ask questions just yet. Hinata nodded, relieved. Naruto-kun and Shino-kun stopped the enemy and freed Sakura-chan. They acted very effectively, as shinobi should have, she said, emphasizing her approval to help further soothe the boy. Neji noted that Naruto found some sense of pride again, managing to grin a little. All right, he asked, who were the attackers? Did you recognize any of them? Shino volunteered, and began describing Hinata's would-be captors in as much detail as words would allow. He identified at least one of them as a shinobi of the Cloud Village, judging from the male's headband, and suggested, based on the way they interacted with and related to each other, that the other one was likely from that village as well. The bug user made it a point to cover everything from the style of ninjutsu they used to the color of their eyes, before affirming that he had never before encountered either one of them. Hinata, however, said Neji-ni-san, I'm not sure, but I think maybe. I've seen one of them before. At the Chunin examination 2 years ago. The eyes of several shinobi around her widened. Are you sure? Asked Sakura. I don't remember him. Was he one of those that dropped out of the test early? Hinata shook her head. No. I fought him, at the end. What? That scrawny hothead. Kiba piped up. He didn't look anything like the guy Shino just described. I agree, said Shino. And my bugs could not recognize his chakra or his scent, either. Hinata, are you certain that it was the same person? No, Hinata said, I'm not completely sure. But the way he looked at me, and his attitude. I think I understand, interrupted Naruto. He looked like he wanted to get back at you for something, big time. Hinata, you must have beaten him good in the test. Yeah, she won that fight, Kiba said, but it doesn't explain how even Shino's bugs don't recognize him. It was quiet for several moments. Everyone was racking their brains for some kind of explanation. However, the one who was least likely to care about the whole situation turned out to be the one who had the answer. Revenge, said Sasuke, sitting on the rock and looking off into the twilight. The desire for revenge and the kind of power that an avenger looks for. They can change a person beyond all recognition. I'm living proof. Another silence stole over the group as this sank in. Haruka broke it. Are you sure? She said. Even if you beat him in the fight, Hinata-chan, that probably isn't enough motivation to make him devote his life to taking you down. Not even I'm that much of a sore loser. Unless, Naruto said, that wasn't his only reason. Sasuke team didn't decide to take off until after I'd beaten his sorry ass once. It might not have been the only reason, but Hinata beating this bastard could have been the straw that broke his back. You know what I'm saying. It doesn't matter, said Neji. The question of exactly who they are can wait. For now, it is enough that we know that they are probably from Kumogakur no Sato. What we want to know is why they are after Hinata-sama now, and how they knew where to find her. If they are in league with the rock and the sound. That's no good, Kiba said. Definitely not, agreed Sakura. Leaf and Sand can win against the forces they face now, but if they have to fight the cloud, too, winning will be a lot tougher than before. And let's not forget, Haruka added, that the traitor here told us that Orochimaru was planning to bring the mist in on his side. Haruka stopped speaking. Nobody was paying attention to her. Instead, their eyes were fixed on Naruto. The blonde had left Hinata's side and grabbed Sasuke by the collar. Hot anger was in his face, and the dark-haired traitor met it with a cold glare. In between, the air seemed infinitely heavy. You, Naruto growled. If you know something you're not telling us, spit it out now. We don't have time to play Orochimaru's game. Naruto-kun. Naruto, stop it. This isn't. Naruto heard neither Hinata nor Sakura. He shook the prisoner violently, threatening to come to blows. Neji, both sick of letting Sasuke strut around like a prince in his chains and hoping that this more direct method of interrogation would bear some fruit, did nothing to stop him. Well, said Naruto, lifting Sasuke into the air. Nothing you wanna say. I can smack it out of you, if you like. Sasuke kept right on glaring at him. Idiot. I don't know. This was not the answer that Naruto wanted to hear. The balance of power could be tipping drastically in favor of Orochimaru and his allies, and Konoha would have no warning at all. Even in the face of all this, all that the Sharingan-toting prick had to say was, I don't know. The bastard had lived under Orochimaru's roof for 3 freaking years. Making one fist, he prepared to give the Uchiha another broken jaw. But a hand caught his arm on the backswing, preventing him. Turning his head, Naruto saw Haruka there. Naruto-kun, said the older Hyuga, I understand how badly you want to hit him. To have been part of a team with a bastard like him, and have it come to this, I deck him, too. But it's not going to make him talk, even if he does know something. Let him go for now. There will be other ways of finding out what's going on. The blonde stared at her, seemingly torn, for a long moment. However, his better judgment won in the end, and he dropped Sasuke unceremoniously to the ground. Damn it, he muttered. Hinata approached him cautiously, not sure how to calm him. The sudden howl of a wolf came reverberating up from the forestland below the cliff. In answer, Akamaru turned and barked fiercely over the cliff's edge, warning the animals that any hostile beast would have to answer to him before it could attack his master or his master's friends. The shinobi heard the exchange and were instantly aware that night was upon them. We need to find this village, Neji said. Get up, Uchiha. Take us the rest of the way there. Yeah, that's right, Kiba said. Hinata's got a date to get to, after all. Kiba-kun. Hey. Naruto laughed nervously. He definitely did not like the look on Haruka's face right now. The village was much changed from the town that Naruto and Haruka remembered. When they had visited it before, it had been bordered by a forest, by lifeless rock formations, and by the cliffs. This time, it had walls and barricades surrounding it. These were manned by numerous patrols of soldiers bearing an emblem that nobody in the group could recognize. Were they taken over by a group of bandits? Wondered Naruto. No, said Haruka. Those are probably hired mercenaries. When I was living here, the old folks told me that this village has always hired soldiers and declared complete neutrality when wars started up. They don't trust the big nations for protection. Being so near the border of two of those nations, I can see why, said Sakura. They'd be so close to the fighting that the moment they took a side, they'd start being captured and liberated over and over until there was nothing left. It's understandable, certainly, agreed Neji. But it may not be good for us. We're on the side of a major superpower in this war, and they may think we are here to conduct espionage, if not to take military action. Really? Naruto asked. That doesn't seem right. When I was here, they were really nice, trusting people. Yeah, well, war changes us all, remarked Kiba. You gotta have a lot of guts just to stay sane, sometimes. That's what all the veterans I've talked to say, anyway. I've never been in a major war before. So, how are we going to get in, if they won't allow foreign military? Asked Sakura. There are a few options for us, said Shino. As shinobi, we might easily sneak inside unnoticed. Yeah, but then it would be hard to find a place to stay, Haruka commented. The civvies are probably as alert as the guards are. The moment they see those headbands, someone will report you to the mercenaries, and then you'll be out on your asses in no time at all. We could disguise ourselves as non-military travelers, suggested Hinata. The guard forces aren't on the lookout for those, are they? They might be, or they might not, said Shino. If they are, then we will be turned away, and the guards will be on the lookout for us. It's still a good idea, though, put in Naruto. If it does work, we'll have no problems at all. Besides, Haruka Nei-chan's lived here before, if she's with us, then it shouldn't be that hard, right? Not necessarily, said Neji. The mercenaries would not recognize her, since they are not native to this area. A lengthy silence ensued in which deep thoughts yielded little to no progress until, at last, Shino had a stroke of brilliance. That might actually work in our favor, he said. Neji perked up from his own thoughts. What do you mean? Pushing his sunglasses further up on his nose, Shino explained his strategy. The guards will not recognize her, but the civilians will. If we sneak in stealthily, and disguise ourselves as ordinary travelers, Haruka's familiarity in the area will be noted among the civilians. The guards may be suspicious at first, but they will not question us once they see that the locals interact with us in a friendly manner. Since they are not locals and would not be able to know every civilian member of this town, they will likely believe that we are locals. That's a good plan, Neji conceded. If we can manage to control Uchiha. Let me handle that, said Naruto. I promise I won't K him. Neji looked at him for a long moment, as though judging his sincerity. However, he appeared to be satisfied, and gave a nod. Okay, he said. Let's get moving. Phew, Naruto said as he slid the heavy pack down onto the bed. He appeared to be garbed in plain blue pants and a plain white t-shirt, and the henge kept his hitayate and ninja tools concealed. The disguises had gotten him and the others safely through town virtually unnoticed, and Haruka's familiarity with the local innkeeper had allowed him to rent 3 rooms for the night. The 2-bedroom that Naruto would be sharing with Sasuke and Neji was clean and accommodating, much better than the tents. The only negative point that Naruto could foresee was his 2 roommates. Neither of them were very good company when thrown together. Sighing, he unzipped the pack that he had just unshouldered. The taped face of Uchiha Sasuke glared up at him scathingly. Clearly, he had not enjoyed his ride into town. Didn't think you'd like it, Naruto said. If I were the one who got his tenketsu all closed by Hinata. Geez, he thought to himself. It's getting totally out of hand again. Keisuke and Ero Senin still missing, Haruka starting to get gloomy again, Sasuke not helping, and now this thing with the cloud and Hinata. Naruto, came a voice from the door. Naruto looked up and over to his visitor. Neji, he said, recognizing him. What's up? It still is not very late, said Neji. There will still be some people in the streets. Please try to collect some information and, if there are any stores open, some supplies while you are out this evening. Naruto stared at him blankly. Out. Neji frowned. Had he forgotten already? Hinata-sama is waiting for you in the lobby. Oh, yeah, that's right, Naruto said, as though he had been thinking about it all along. I was just going. You're sure you're okay with it? He remembered vividly Neji's earlier conversation about it. We talked about this already, Neji replied. You should remember the conduct I outlined for you. I will trust you not to overstep your boundaries. Naruto said, not certain he was entirely convinced of Neji's trust. Thanks, Neji. I thought you'd be chaperoning us, but I guess you're all right. I can't chaperone you, since one of us must be with Uchiha at all times, Neji said. But I suspect you will have another Hyuga trailing in your shadow anyway. If nothing else, I can trust her not to let things go too far. Or to scare us into not wanting to go that far, Naruto thought. In a small copse of trees lit brilliantly by the moon, 3 figures stood. All around them, the sounds of the night forest went on undisturbed. When they moved, they disturbed not even a single leaf or twig, and their voices seemed to barely disturb the air. One of the figures was heavily cloaked and hooded, face invisible even under the bright moonlight. The second seemed an extension of the moon itself, glowing white with its light reflected off his clothing and short, pale hair. Both of them stood facing the third, who wore a long black cloak patterned with red clouds. This third figure moved with a grace that seemed unusual for a man of his great height. He had pure white hair that fell about his head like a shroud, and when he spoke, it seemed as though he were speaking in the language of the air itself. Looking at him, one might have been reminded of the legends of the benevolent angels, though the black and red cloak suggested he had fallen from grace some time ago. So, the two of you failed in your first attempt? He asked his companions. Hi, Kohei-senpai, said the second, heavily cloaked one. The girl has powerful friends. We managed to surprise her, but sheer coincidence brought her allies to her at the most inopportune moment. They will be more prepared for our next encounter. Damn that blonde kid, said the third one. Just had to come nosing around at the wrong time. Hikaru, be silent, commanded the tall man in the cloud-patterned coat. The gleaming point of a straight dagger protruded from the coat's sleeve. I have come from a difficult mission, and I have no patience for your callousness. Is that clear? Yes, sir, said Hikaru hastily. He knew the strength in that man's blade, but that wasn't what he feared. He knew the mastery of ninjutsu behind those sayas could rip him apart even faster. Good, said Kohei. He began undoing the black and red coat, pale, limber fingers working quickly and precisely to remove the false idini he had worn on his previous mission. A few of those fingers had blisters on them. Something had burned the tall man's hand. Kohei-senpai, asked the cloaked woman, have you been injured? Only lightly, Ayaka, replied Kohei. My target was rescued by a very powerful opponent. I managed to end the battle favorably, however, and most of my wounds have recovered already. You do not need to be concerned. Then you will be able to join our mission without problems. Wait a minute, interrupted Hikaru. With all due respect, Kohei, I have to ask, why did you just let your target go? Shouldn't you have followed it? Damn it, why did you have to come back so soon, you overpowered old-timer? I did follow it, Hikaru, said Kohei, tossing the cloak to the ground. My target is in the same group as yours. We will be able to pursue both targets simultaneously. Without the cloak, Kohei looked more like a seraph than he had before. His white skin was completely unmarred by combat scars or scars of any type, and his tall, thin frame gave him the appearance of a holy prophet. He wore robes the color of the blue sky, and his presence seemed to leave a divine imprint on the night air. The sight did not embolden Hikaru as a seraph would, however. It foretold many weeks of the worst possible company for the loud and white cloud ninja. Is that so? he said. Well, isn't that nice? We're all going to work together again. On the bright side, Kohei will make the whole mission shorter, so maybe we'll be able to go home before I lose my head. As your senior, I will be taking over command, now. Kohei said. Make yourselves ready. This night, there will be an opportunity. Wow! Exclaimed Naruto enthusiastically. This wasn't here before. He was referring to a large plaza on the west side of the village that was ringed with many stores. Here, the night was alive. People were browsing through the still open stores, taking strolls out in the cool evening air, and enjoying the products of several food stalls and carts. I don't know when they put this in, but it's definitely an improvement. Nighttime was completely when I was here 2 years ago. The teenage blonde was looking over the new installations appreciatively as he passed them, clearly glad that he had volunteered to do this. By his side, Hinata walked quietly smiling, her attire changed only in that she was not wearing her leaf headband, happy on 2 accounts. First, because the plaza really was a magnificent attraction and she was glad to be seeing it with him. Second, she was relieved that the boy seemed to be enjoying himself after the stress of the last few days. On any other night, Naruto would have trained himself until he either collapsed or was retrieved by one of his teammates. Perhaps he would sleep more soundly tonight. This isn't the only thing that is new, though, she said, waving an arm at the nearby western wall. You told us that this village was peaceful and welcoming when you visited it before, Naruto-kun, but this place looks almost like a fortress. Indeed, the village in its current state did somewhat resemble a military stronghold. In addition to the high walls and heavy gates, several buildings had been reinforced with whatever the villagers had found handy, and some people were carrying weapons in plain sight. Though they had declared themselves neutral, the town appeared to be expecting an attack at any moment. It's a necessary precaution, said an elderly woman who had overheard them. Naruto said, turning to face her. You think so, Aba-chan? I know so, young one, she replied. Whenever wars break out between the north and south, all the eyes turn to this mountain region first. The northern eye looks at us and sees a terrain advantage. If they take control of the high ground up here, then they have a stronghold that can last for months without falling. The southern eye looks at us and sees a shortcut into the northern territory. They could go around us on the lower ground, but it would take much longer and put them at a disadvantage. Naruto and Hinata listened to her intently. This woman had apparently survived 1 or 2 wars in this region. The information that she was providing them could prove valuable. If what she said was true, then they were in the middle of what might soon become one of the front battle lines. And both the northern and southern eyes see the value of the resources in these mountains, iron ore, wood, game. They want a base where they can stockpile and craft these materials, and this village is as good a place as any. It must have been difficult to survive wars in the past, Hinata said softly, being such a valuable target. Yes, the woman said, closing her eyes as if envisioning a memory. It was. But we pulled through, child, and we'll pull through it again. Don't worry your young skulls over it. We'll try not to, Aba-chan, Naruto said. By now, take care. The woman waved at them as they walked away, thoughts whizzing through their heads. Nice old lady, he thought out loud. Yes, Hinata agreed. But what she was saying. Do you think that it would be that serious, Naruto-kun? Maybe, he conceded. I heard the place was burned to the ground in the last war, after all. Neji will want to hear about it, but I don't think it matters much to us. We probably won't hang around to find out how right she is. Yes, Hinata said, you're right, Naruto-kun. Am I ever wrong? Naruto joked, putting on a grin. Hinata laughed softly, infected by the cheerful humor that he produced even in the face of all this pressure. She found herself able to relax more around him, now that he was acting more like himself. Perhaps tonight she would have a real opportunity too. Oi, Hinata, Naruto said, pointing to a nearby stall, want to grab a bite? Well, this might not have been an official date, but it was definitely a good start. Now, if only they could avoid a certain Nei-chan for the remainder of the night. Haruka stayed hidden in the shadows all throughout the conversation with the old lady, the short meal, and beyond, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. It was pointless to attempt to spike their food or drinks, she'd used that approach before, and Hinata would expect it. It was best to wait for a better angle to present itself. Besides, it was sort of heartwarming to watch the two of them. Now that there was virtually no opposition to their being together and Hinata had gotten a handle on her shy nature, they were able to freely enjoy each other's company. And enjoy it they did. Naruto was in good spirits, and jovially dragged Hinata through every attraction that the plaza had to offer at the speed of maximum enjoyment. It was a little bit comical, seeing him whisk her off to every new shiny or brightly lit object that caught his eye. Interestingly enough, though Hinata was often struggling to keep up with the energetic blonde, she seemed to be having the time of her life just being there with him. Almost makes me wish I was young again, Haruka said to herself from her view atop a shop roof. I used to have such good times. Now all I've got who's any fun are those two and a blind moron, and even he can't manage to find his way home. Stupid. She heaved a sigh. No, it was not good to be thinking about him right now. Every time she did, the old memories would surface of the fun they'd had beating the stuffing out of each other, and she would feel the ache of emptiness that she could no longer fill with her favorite living punching bag. No, no, no. She thought. That's wrong. We're supposed to be playing a prank, US. It just so happened that at that moment, Naruto and Hinata were inspecting a shop that was full of shinobi artifacts and relics. Naruto was engrossed in an elaborate display of antique weaponry. Next to that display was an assortment of wooden and metal shinobi statuettes, one of which was of the Yondaime Hokage, the yellow flash of Konoha. As her eyes swept over this scene, an idea came to her. Let's see how you two react to this one, she said. Working out hand seals, she fixated upon the young blonde Chunin below. It was time to make use of her genjutsu skill. Hinata noticed the statuette display just in time. Her gaze turned toward it, marveling at the superior craftsmanship of ages past. Haruka waited patiently for her to recognize the yellow flash, the one which would be most worthy of Naruto's attention. Come on, now, Haruka thought. He isn't going to wait around all day. If you don't say something, he's going to drag you off somewhere else. Oh, finally. Hinata finally tugged at Naruto's shoulder and pointed at the wooden semblance of Konoha's greatest hero of old. Haruka smiled viciously as the boy turned around to look at it for himself. It was show time. As Naruto turned and his eyes fell upon the statuette, he recoiled in shock. The figure he saw was not Yondaime, but Hinata. The statuette was not wearing any clothes. The statuette was very well endowed. Naruto, despite having better self-control than the Toad Sannin, fell on his backside, and wiped feverishly at the slow trickle of B that was coming out of his nose. Haruka's smile broadened. Success. Hinata knelt beside him, a worried expression on her face. Haruka knew that she would be asking what was wrong. In preparation, she altered her hand seals and her focus, changing the genjutsu for the next target. Naruto pointed at the statuette of Yondaime, and was apparently shocked to find that it was no longer or female or anything like Hinata. Hinata looked at the statuette again. The figure she saw was not herself or Yondaime, but Naruto. The statuette was not wearing any clothes. The statuette was very well endowed. Probably better endowed than the real thing, Haruka thought to herself, but we can let the girl dream. Hinata, having lived a very sheltered life in which she was not often exposed to such sights, and not using her Byakugan, was totally unprepared to see it now. She keeled over backwards, where Naruto caught her just 2 feet above the ground. Damn it, Haruka-ne-chan. Naruto yelled into the night. Oh well, time to go, the older Hyuga said. Staying in the shadow, she leaped off the opposite side of the building, disappearing into the darker parts of the village. Naruto would want to talk to her in the morning, that was for certain. On the bright side, though, she'd had her fun, and hopefully put some thoughts into their heads that would help advance their relationship. So why was she not sniggering and laughing about it like the she-devil she was? What's wrong with me? She asked no one. I can't enjoy it like I used to. Am I losing my sense of humor? Is it some kind of withdrawal symptom from my beating on that idiot? Something within her told her that this wasn't it. She had found Naruto and Hinata's reactions funny, she just hadn't been in the mood to fully enjoy it. Besides that, she had had plenty of opportunity to satisfy her need to hit things. Training practically every day against Naruto and popping clone after clone filled that requirement. So what was the real problem? No way, she told herself. It couldn't be that. There's no way I could be this out of whack just because of him. Or could it? She was spared any further thought on the matter, however, by the sound of laughter. It was several voices at once, a male and perhaps 2 or 3 females, and it was emanating from a small balcony on a nearby building. The building had a sleazy look to it, and the entrance below the balcony was lit with a neon sign that marked it as some kind of club. Haruka turned her head. Could it possibly be a mane of wild, white hair? A large scroll? A muscular frame wearing red? A laugh that sounded all too happy to be around feminine flesh? Of course it was. Who else would it be, especially in a tight situation like this? Leaping from her current perch over onto the balcony, she landed right in front of the powerful man, face full of simultaneous mirth and wrath. Haruka had found another old favorite target for her harassment. The target and his consort stopped laughing, staring in surprise at the intruder. What? You? Said the man, recognizing her. Me? Agreed Haruka. You've certainly turned up in an interesting place. You ladies had better clear out. The big. Hey now, interrupted the new target, showing more fear out of his surprise than he intended. Aren't you going to ask me where I've been all this time? Aren't you going to yell at me for wasting time when I should have been helping you guys? Haruka's face arranged into an expression that the man thought he would never be required to see again. All in good time, Jiraiya-san. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.